Now we're going to go over some political and economic issues that need to be thought through. At the end, we'll see how the land of enchantment ranks with the rest of our nation and begin the journey on how we may rethink some things to make New Mexico truly enchanting for all of us who live here. So I've researched much about this state over the last many months as I began to look at the challenges of this journey. New Mexico has, after all, had a long and storied history of great adventures beginning and ending here. From the first native peoples through the first European explorers, to the challenges of becoming a state in the United States of America, all the way to the first tourists to visit here, this state has been a mystery and enchantment. To those of us who have been born and raised here and those who have transplanted here many decades or just a few years ago, this state holds a deep place in our hearts. We have a desire to see it thrive, not to survive. In this nation founded on individual liberty, we as citizens desire to be able to exercise these freedoms and enjoy this place that is so unique. It is both old and new, both grounded and ethereal. For us, all, it is home. So all this brings me to the fascinating choice for our state's motto. When I first saw it, I was a bit tickled and also a little bit sad. It is Cresciat Iundo. It grows as it goes. Yeah, I had the same reaction, likely. On the surface, it seems so lackluster considering all the state mottos that we've probably heard. I was kind of, well, okay. Then I started to consider it. When you think of all the history of our state and you realize that is exactly what the land of enchantment is and should be. At first, it is la vida pura. Then on a deeper examination, there's a lot of great and wonderful potential here. Our combined cultures make us unique and have grown us immensely in living together. However, there is so much more that we could have been over the last 90 years. And there's a reason that I'm pointing out that 90 years, and I'll get to that in just a second. We've struggled in many ways, particularly economically and where opportunity is concerned. Having had a state-centric and not citizen-centric government since 1932, yes, I know that seems a bit strange, but it is true when you look at the nature of how our state has managed itself. For the most part, many of us have not had the opportunity to succeed. We need to rethink this, and perhaps we can make our state grow as it goes forward over the next many years. It has been stagnant, in my opinion. There have been times when we've had some prosperity, but overall, it's been stagnant. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an understanding of why that is. Something that is very interesting, I was doing some research and some articles, that in 1928, since 1928, the Republican Party in New Mexico has not had control of the House and Senate and governor's office. Since 1932, we have not had control of the Senate at all. In the House, we have had two-year terms in control of the House in the last 90 years, or since 1932. We have, out of the possible 46 two-year terms, this was in 2018, so it's 47 two-year terms now. Republicans had only held the governor's office 17 out of those 47 terms. So what we've had is a one-party control for all that time. And what has happened in all that time? I think two of the most interesting statistics that we need to look at in deciding in what has been good or what has not been good for New Mexico are population statistics and per capita income. And so we're going to look at those real quick. I'm just going to breeze through some things in this particular article. So we're looking at population statistics in the Southwest: Arizona, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, New Mexico. Okay. In 1930, New Mexico's population was 420,000. Arizona's was 440,000. Colorado was 1.04 million. Texas, 5.8 million. Oklahoma, 2.4 million. And Utah, 508,000. In 2015, the population estimates were New Mexico, 2,200,000 2.06 million. Arizona, 6.4 million. And I just looked the other day here in 2020, Arizona is 7.4 million now. Colorado at 5.5 million. Colorado is closer to 6 million now. Texas, 28, now 29 million 5 years later. Oklahoma, 3.9, and it has risen as well. Utah at 3.1 million. New Mexico, in the 5 years since 2015, has only risen by about 30,000. I think those are telling things. When you look at a we understand that usually if something is not growing, it's stagnating, right? Well, we certainly haven't grown very well. We've increased 4 times our population, where Arizona has increased it by many times that. Texas has also increased it by, several of them have. And there are many reasons why those things have happened, but I really think that governing has a great deal to do with it. Certainly the natural environment, certainly all those things have to do with it. With popularity of Colorado or Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, we're all very popular in terms of those sort of things. But in terms of being able to create a healthy economy, I think population growth has a big thing to deal with that. Big responsibility there. Next, let's look at per capita income in 1990 versus 2015. New Mexico was at 14,000 and a little over in 1990. In 2015, roughly 38.5 is the per capita income. Arizona went from just over 16,000 to about 39,000. Colorado went from 18, almost 19,000 to 52,500. Texas went from 16,350,000 to 46,350,000. A $30,000 move. Oklahoma, 15,000 to 44,000. And Utah, 14,000 to 39. So a couple of those states kind of all stay in the same, but a couple of them have increased substantially. Colorado particularly, Texas particularly, in terms of per capita income. We're neck and neck with Arizona and with Utah. So in populations, when you look at the combinations of the populations, there's a big disparity there. So we also rank at the bottom of a lot of lists, and I'm about to go into some of those list topics. All this to say, we need to be concerned and looking forward to how can we correct our state's economy? How can we grow it? How can we make this a place that is viable for business, viable for people to invest in? We have a big challenge in the fact that the federal government is the largest employer in the state, and the federal government doesn't really care about the economy of the state necessarily. They're just interested in taking care of the federal government properties, and that's fair. But that's where the most employment for the state comes from, and our own state employs quite a lot of people, and so if government is providing all the jobs, then how are we earning money to pay the government salaries? And then we have right now with our new president, the 46th president, coming in and immediately shutting down oil and gas drilling and leases on federal lands. All of our oil and gas receipts are on federal lands. All of our receipts equal almost half, if not more than half, of the budget for the state. We cut that out. What is the state going to do? Where's it going to get its funding? And without good industry here. So these are all things that we need to start thinking about. How can we rethink what we're about? I think I'm going to wrap that up with this segment and let you stew on that a little bit. Give me your opinions. Give me your thoughts. Give me your issues of what I have to say. This is a journey for me. I'm not perfect on it. I'm going to, get some things wrong, but trying to sift through the garbage and get to the meat of things and get us further down the road. And we'll have many more conversations about this down the road. So thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next segment. We're going to talk about how we rank amongst other states. You can find us at NewMexicoRedShow.com. Communicate with us there. Remember, we're New Mexicans, not New Mexicans.